The world watched in fear. A new enemy, an invisible killer, COVID-19. It started silently, stealthily, spreading from person to person, country to country. No one was safe. Hospitals overflowed, doctors and nurses, exhausted warriors on the front lines. The world went into lockdown, empty streets, echoing silence. Fear was the only constant. The news was a constant drone of rising numbers, infection rates, death tolls. We were told to stay home, to wash our hands, to wear masks. But fear had already seeped in, a constant companion. We thought this was the enemy. We were wrong. Days turned into weeks. The jar sat in their lab, untouched, menacing. Jennifer felt a constant pull towards it, a morbid curiosity. She shared her concerns with Isaac. He laughed it off. But Jennifer noticed a change in him. He was withdrawn, his eyes bloodshot and haunted. He started having nightmares, vivid, terrifying dreams. He saw faces, ancient, malevolent beings. One night, Isaac confessed, he had opened the jar, just a peek. He swore he saw something move inside, a wisp of black smoke. Jennifer was scared. This was more than just a virus. Something evil had arrived with that crate from Wuhan. Isaac's nightmares worsened. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. The faces from his dreams followed him everywhere. He saw them in the shadows, heard whispers in the dead of night. He started talking to himself, mumbling incoherently about shadows and whispers. Jennifer tried to help, but Isaac pushed her away. He was lost in a world of his own, consumed by something she couldn't understand. He spoke of an ancient evil, a curse unleashed. He said it was already too late, that the air we breathed was poisoned. Jennifer dismissed it as paranoia, but deep down, a seed of fear took root. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Section 5. The Vanishing. One morning, Isaac wasn't at work. He didn't answer calls, didn't respond to messages. Gone. Jennifer went to his apartment. The door was unlocked. Inside it was chaos. Furniture overturned, books and papers strewn everywhere. It looked like a struggle. A chill ran down her spine. She found Isaac's phone on the floor. The screen was cracked. She picked it up. A single message was displayed. "Don't breathe." Jennifer's blood ran cold. This was no ordinary disappearance. Something had taken Isaac, something sinister, something tied to the jar and the whispers from Wuhan. Section 6. Silent screams. News reports started surfacing. People were getting sick. Not with COVID-19. This was different. The symptoms were bizarre. Victims complained of a feeling of dread of being watched. Then the hallucinations began. Shadows, whispers, faces with empty eyes. People thrashed wildly in their beds, screaming in silence, their voices stolen. Doctors were baffled. The illness spread like wildfire, invisible, unstoppable. The air itself felt heavy, laden with dread. The world held its breath, afraid of what it might inhale. Jennifer knew. This was what Isaac had warned her about. Section 7. A different disease. Jennifer couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched, followed, hunted. The jar sat in her lab, a silent testament to the horror unfolding. She couldn't ignore it any longer. This wasn't a pandemic, it was a curse. She pored over ancient texts, myths and legends. Searching for answers, she found references to an ancient evil, a being of pure darkness, imprisoned long ago, its breath a weapon of terror, the jar. It wasn't a container, it was a prison, and it had been opened. Jennifer felt a chill run down her spine. It was already too late. The entity was free, and it was spreading through the very air we breathe. Her. Section 9. The Ancient Curse. In the dimly lit room, shadows danced on the walls, cast by the flickering candlelight. The air was thick with the scent of old parchment and ancient secrets. The scroll offered a glimmer of hope. Its ancient text glowed faintly, as if whispering promises of salvation to those who dared to read it. A way to trap the entity again. The ritual site was prepared meticulously, every item placed with precision and care. It was a dangerous ritual. One that had been attempted before with dire consequences, one that required a sacrifice. Blood had been spilled on this altar before, and it would be again. Jennifer knew what she had to do. Her resolve was unshakable, her determination clear. She was the only one who knew the truth. The only one who had deciphered the ancient texts and understood their meaning, the only one who could stop it. The weight of the world rested on her shoulders. She would use herself as bait, draw the entity out. The glowing jar was her only weapon, a fragile prison for a malevolent force, then trap it back in the jar. It was a delicate balance, a dance with death. It was a suicide mission, but she had no choice. The fate of humanity depended on her success, but she had to try. Failure was not an option. The world outside was falling apart. Chaos reigned and fear was palpable in the air. The silent screams echoed in her ears, the cries of the innocent, the desperate pleas for help. She took a deep breath. This was it, the moment of truth. She began to chant the words of the ritual, ancient words of power. Each syllable resonated with energy, filling the room with an otherworldly presence. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread. The fog swirled around her, obscuring her vision, but she continued unwavering. Section 10. Don't breathe. The world is quiet now, not a peaceful quiet, but a suffocating one. The kind of silence that presses down on you, making every breath feel like a struggle. The air is thick with dread. It clings to your skin, seeps into your bones, and makes your heart race. Invisible tendrils of fear snake through the air, slipping into your lungs with every breath. Each inhale feels like a gamble, a risk you can't afford to take. You can feel it watching you, waiting. Its presence is a constant, oppressive weight on your shoulders. The virus was just the beginning, a distraction, a prelude to something far more sinister, a way to weaken us, to make us vulnerable, to strip away our defenses and leave us exposed. Now, the real terror has begun. It's not just a physical threat, but a psychological one. It's in the air you breathe, in every corner, every shadow, every whisper of wind. In the shadows that flicker at the edge of your vision, it's always there, lurking just out of sight. You think you're safe inside. Don't be fooled. Walls and locks can't keep it out. It's already inside with you. It's in the air you breathe, the space you occupy, waiting for the moment you let your guard down, waiting to claim you. Remember Isaac's warning. Remember Jennifer's sacrifice. Don't breathe. Hold on to every breath as if it were your last.